What's up, guys? I'm doing another Master Duel tier list, this time for July 2020. And we are going to go over everything that's currently in the meta and what is about to enter the meta and has currently not been released yet. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, first off, up here in tier 0, we have what's going to be Adventure and we have Flunderies. So, in the TCG, both of these decks pretty much had a stranglehold on the meta, and I predict the same thing is going to happen within Master Duel, because Master Duel's kind of sort of followed the TCG. It's basically the TCG is just like, I want to say like 6 to 8 months behind it. So these two are probably going to be the dominating forces of the meta and just better than everything below it. Now, Tenyi Sword Soul, which we have in tier 1 directly below them, can definitely still compete, and even in the current TCG metagame is competing. So that deck is still going to be viable and is still going to be tier 1, most likely just based on representation, unless representation completely falls off for it, but I don't think we'll see that. Regular Sword Soul, I have right under Tenyi Sword Soul in tier 1. And that's because I feel like Tenyi Sword Soul gives you some more options, even though you have more like room for Sword Soul shenanigans in the main deck with just plain vanilla Sword Soul. But I feel like Tenyi Sword Soul is the better option. Next, we have Adamancipator. And the reason I have Adamancipator in here is because it can still make insane boards. I do think the deck is definitely not as cohesive or consistent as it used to be, but it definitely is still a very strong deck. I do feel like it's fallen off a lot in representation, but it's still very strong. Next, we have Drytron Herald. So you'll still see it occasionally. It's just way less consistent than it used to be because of the Ben 10 hits. Still a very strong deck. I feel like if it gets set up with the amount of negates it has, it can still beat everything below it on the tier list. I do feel like Emancipator can make a little bit of a better board, and so that's why, and it's still more consistent even without 3 seconds light. So that's why I have it above Drytron. Next, we have Dragon Link. So Dragon Link, once again, can kind of put out a really good board, almost as good as the Emancipator board. But I feel like it's kind of easier to counter, and it's a little bit easier to hand trap because, like, I'll give you a practical example. If I Ash or Effect Veiler or Imperm something on the Emancipator board, most of the time they'll have the one that special summons out of hand. When they have a rock monster in hand, they'll activate that, and so they'll kind of have a backup plan. Dragon Link, most of the time I feel like, is summon one, maybe you try to summon a second monster, but they can't really do more past that opening. So I feel like if they get hand trapped, if they get locked out, or if someone gets negated or something, they just kind of flounder more, and that's why they're behind Drytron Herald. Next, we have Prank Kids, and the only reason I have Prank Kids lower than Dragon Link is because I actually have seen more Dragon Link decks than more Prank Kids decks. I feel like the representation just isn't really there for Prank Kids, but I do feel like the deck is still incredibly powerful. Even with Roxy's at 2, the deck can pretty much still do everything it did before. I just don't see a lot of representation of it in Diamond or even in Platinum before it got into Diamond this season. I think I saw like 1 Prank Kids and maybe like 5 Dragon Links, and I had a much harder time with the Dragon Link than I did the Prank Kids. So that's why Prank Kids are lower than Dragon Link. Next we have Zoo Try. I feel like Zoo Try has a good amount of options. It's still pretty much just as consistent, even with the 1 Fractal. I feel like the deck can still do things because it has the Zodiac engine to back it up. Also, I had the unique game interaction of where they ran out of all their Tri-Brigade materials, but they still had Zodiacs left, and they basically just made Borbo, attacked, and then made Zeus, and had Zeus with a ton of materials. It just kept board wiping over and over and over to the point where they won the game because of Zeus. So I feel like there's just more options than vanilla Try with Zoo Try, and that's what makes it better. Plus, Dragon's a decent card. It's a spot removal tool during either player's turn. Which brings us to regular Try Brigade. Pretty much still consistent. Definitely a lot harder to kind of start off now that one of their starters are on. But the deck is still decent. And then next we have VW. Virtual World still has everything, but I mean, they lost one card, but most VW players said it wasn't a big deal. At least that's what I asked on the Master Duel subreddit about people's opinions on that. And I actually entered a huge tournament recently, like an in-person tournament for Master Duel, everybody on their cell phones. It's kind of funny. And Virtual World actually won with me taking second place running Sortel. So I'd say BW is pretty good considering it beat a lot of Sortel decks in that event. Next we have Sky Strikers. I believe Sky Strikers should be tier 1, and I know people are going to be like, what, why? Because Sky Strikers, with the amount of back row they have, are kind of a decent answer to most of the decks above it. The fact that they can quickly banish something from the graveyard, so say you couldn't use the Sorcerer guy that banishes summon something, or you could also pretty much do the same thing to rocks, like they have Block Dragon in the grave, well, get it out of there. And the spot effect negates with Widow Anchor are also really strong in this format, I feel, because most of the Swordswell guys do activate on the field, except for the best one, which activates in hand. And then also being able to take the monster for a turn, so if it's something big, you could attack with it and then link with it later on. I feel like Sky Strikers just have a lot of answers to the decks above it, to where even though the decks above it are more powerful and have more representation and higher win rates, Sky Striker can kind of compete with the big boys, and that's why I'm putting them there. Next we have Punk variants. Punk is interesting because I don't see it very often, and it's always mixed with something when it's being played. It's never just like pure Punk. But the one that pays 8 to search and some of the other effects they have, it's a very consistent engine. I'm seeing a lot of representation for it, and so that's why it's going to be just on like the ass end of tier 1. Maybe the front of tier 2 would be more accurate for it, but I feel like it's just good enough to dangle off of tier 1. So next we have tier 2. We have Yang Xing Sword Soul at the top of tier 2. Now, you're not going to see Yang Xing Sword Soul very often. I do like to play it sometimes because it's funny. It's just like, Yang Xing's go burr. You can pretty much just tunnel through your main deck because of how they float. But Yang Xing Sword Soul is fun, it is decent, and it can outfloat a lot of things with like destruction effects, and I feel like the deck deserves to be mentioned on this list, even though you probably won't see it, but it is very decent. So next we have Eldritch. I put Eldritch too high last list. I don't see it played very often anymore. I see like Eldritch in zombies, but like just Eldritch as a deck, I actually see less than like Eldritch being played in zombies at this point. And I think that's because the destruction card for it is at 1, and that really hurt the consistency of the deck. And other like back row, like traps, like floodgates that it runs, I feel like can be negated too easily or destroyed too easily in this format. And so that's why Eldritch is going to be in tier 2, below Yang Xing Sword Soul. Next we have DDD in tier 2. People always ask me, why do you put DDD so high up in tier 2? Because DDD has an insane amount of combos. It can do tons of different things. The reason you don't see the deck do very well is because it has to have the right pilot. If you take somebody that's like really good with combo decks and really good in the game of YuGiOh, they could probably build a DDD deck that would do some damage. I keep saying this, I really need to do a deck profile for them sometime. But DD is going to be just right up there in tier 2. Next we have heroes, particularly E heroes over D heroes first. E heroes doing hero things, sometimes doing Rongo things, sometimes doing just spam the field and win with a ton of attack things. They're good. There's not too much more to say about him. Next we have Rongo Bongo. Rongo Bongo, kind of sandwich in the heroes, should be after him, but you know, he can be there, it's cool. Bongo's a good card. If your opponent goes first and you can't stop it, then your opponent wins the game. It's not a fair card, but it's, you know, it's good. It's disruptible, I suppose, if you can stop your opponent from making it. Next we have D heroes. D heroes are good. DP is a good card. Everything I said about heroes except the fact that they can run like multiple copies of DPE easily and get away with it. Next we have Machine Toolbox, Earth Machine Toolbox. Still good. Still can put out nutty boards. Still has tons of options to run for the main deck. You can do like the Infinitrack. You can mix trains in there. You can do some YuGiOh shenanigans even if you really wanted to. Probably the slowest option. Earth Machines, decent. They make decent boards, so tier 2. Next we have Thunder Dragons. I think Thunder Dragons are also pretty good right now. There's even Despia Thunder Dragon, which is some fun shenanigans. But I feel like Thunder Dragons are just edged out by Earth Machines because they can't make like as strong of a board. And in this format, I feel like it's pretty easy to get around the 3200 beater Thunder Dragon. That's like their main boss monster. Next we have Cyber, and I'm going to lump Cyber Dragons with Cyber Darks in because most people are playing some Cyber Darks and their Cyber Dragons or some Cyber Dragons and their Cyber Darks. Cyber Dark in Dragon is a good card. I don't see it a lot, but it's a decent card. It's a structured deck, so it is easy to run. And I feel like the deck makes a better beat stick than Dinos do, which brings us to Dinos. Yes, I know the Scrap Dino combo. Yes, I know Dinos can make decent boards. But I feel like Dinos are still kind of bricky, kind of easy to disrupt. And even with the negate board they can make with the beat stick, I just don't feel like it's as good as things above it. For instance, Cyber Dark can make a 5,000 attack monster that's unaffected that you can just kind of laugh at like dinosaurs with if it goes first. Thunder Dragons, if they go first against Dinos, they can make the thing that stops them from adding cards to hand except by drawing them, which can pretty much completely stall them out. Machines just make a better board. D heroes have DPE right now. Heroes have DPE, and they both can do Rongo. And Rongo, if it goes first, just stops Dinos from playing. The Floodgates and Eldritch hurt Dinos, and Sword Soul are just better than Dinos. The reason I went on for Dinos long is because people always roast me for putting Dinos so low on the list, but Dinos are tier 2. They are not better than tier 2. They probably will not be better than tier 2 unless they get significant support or the rest of the stuff gets hit. And in fact, I still think I'm putting them a little too high. You know what? Let's move Dinos above Dragon Maid, but below Burning Abyss and PK. Dinos can be below them. PK, BA, PK, BA. It can make good boards. It can also outfloat a lot of things. I have not seen them too often, but I've had PK beat me running Sword Soul before. I think the deck's decent. Next we have Dragon Maids. Dragon Maids actually need to be moved down. And way down. Okay, so next we have Despia. Despia is pretty decent. I just feel like they're better decks to play. I do like the Tax Collector Dragon in Despia. I think someone needs to make a Chain Energy Toll build with that and just troll. And that also includes like Dark Lord Despia. They can both make good beat sticks, but I feel like the decks above it are just better. Next we have Dogmatica. Dogmatica is mostly going to be mixed with things. Most of the time I'll see it with like Dogmatica Despia or sometimes Invoked Dogmatica. Dogmatica is decent. I feel like it's a pretty good deck. Pure Dogmatica, not as good as the variants, but good enough. But yeah. Next we go to Grand Manju. This is a haha giant beat stick go burr. It's even if they negate like the Pot of Desires, it still comes out with a ton of attack, and there's so many extra cards to power it up. I feel like it's only going to get better. I feel like Menju deserves to be tier 2, so we're putting it there. Next we have Numeron OTK. It happens in Diamond. I think it's one of the most annoying OTKs. It's not super hard to disrupt, but when it happens, it happens. And I feel like the deck is decent, and you'll just occasionally see it. Next we have Invoked. I feel like Invoked Shaddoll or Invoked Dogmatica or just all the different Invoked archetypes you can play, they're decent. They deserve to be in tier 2. There's decent representation for them too. I'm in Diamond 3 and I see them fairly often. Adagnister. I feel like Adagnister being able to make the boss monster that's unaffected by everything and has 5,000 attack is pretty good. And it also can outfloat a lot of decks. I do feel like the decks above it are better. Like Manju, okay, you have something on I can't show that card effect. I'll summon like an 8,000 attack Manju and just beat over it. Done. But Adagnister, decent, deserves a spot in tier 2. Next we have Dragon Maid. Dragon Maid can be okay. Most of the time they're just in on the ball. And you just look at the ball like, okay, I'm not too afraid of that. Next we have Salad. I'm seeing some Salad variants that are doing things and just some Salad variants that are more like Cybers plus Salad. And if they can't make the Gazelle and do shenanigans, they'll make Decode and do shenanigans. And Decode's a good card. That's why it's, Cybers is just down there. But Salad, we're actually going to move Dragon Maid and Salad out of tier 2 and put them into tier 3 and off meta. So yeah, I think Agnister is round out tier 2. Next we have tier 3, off meta, or Rogue, whichever one you prefer. Subterrors get to be the tier you can have tier 3. I've been playing a lot of Subterrors with just basically pure guru control, just back row out the ass, hand traps out the ass. Subterrors can pretty much pummel everything below it and can still beat the decks above it. I'd never had the Adventure matchup with Subterror before because I didn't play that in TCG. But I'm guessing they probably beat Subterrors. Next we have Shaddolls. Shaddolls can do stuff, but I feel like Subterrors are a better flip deck, if you can even consider either of them a flip deck. And everything about Shaddolls just kind of craps on them. Next we have Dragon Maid. We already covered my reasoning. With Salad, we already covered my reasoning. So that Kaiju King of Beasts to like return everything, tribute your opponent shit, recycle, go over and over again deck with Fairy Tail Luna Control, just the annoyingness that it is. It's off meta, it's decent. It's not impossible to beat, but it's not like that good either. True Draco, it's True Draco. That's about it. Mayakashi, Bone Tower, FTK, and Mayakashis in general. Easy to hand trap to deal with, but they're still going to be in off meta because Zombie World's a good card. And if you are playing Sword Soul or Emancipator or Dragon Link where things need to be a certain type, Zombie World will fuck you up. Actually, it'll mess up Cryberry too, because Beast Warriors, they're all zombies now. So yeah. Then we have like just generic zombie variants under Mayakashi without the Bone Tower FTK. And then after that we have Shiranui, which I feel like is kind of the weakest of the zombie options. And next we have mutants. I've seen a couple of mutant decks in Diamond. I did beat them, but they were surprisingly decent. I feel like I've kind of been sleeping on this deck. I feel like if the archetype ever gets support, that could be better. For now, it's a decent off-meta option. Then we have generic Cyverse spam, Code Talker spam. Then we have Craptrix. Craptrix, I feel like decent enough options, but everything above them can kind of shit on them. I can easily beat Craptrix with Subterrors. Then next we have artifacts. I feel like artifacts are actually worse than trap tricks at this point because I feel like they have like even less options and multi-paper. If multi-paper is at 3, it'd be different, but as is, no. Next we have Orchest. Orchest is decent, but one harp is rough, and it kind of gets fenced out by everything above it. We already covered Fairy Tale Luna control. There's also like the Fairy Tale Snow Banish Everything variant with Manju. That actually should be a lot lower. Move that. Okay, ABC. Buster Dragon, ABC Buster Dragons at 1. It's kind of easy to stop them. There's a lot of stuff to remove stuff from Grave. The deck just kind of struggles at this point. Actually, let's move Blackwing higher than ABC because Blackwing has a towers like monster. It can do something if it gets ashed. It has a lot of special summon options. I'm gonna go Blackwing, then ABC, then Buster Blade or Lock with Dragon control. And we're actually gonna, we'll keep Charmers right there. I'm putting Charmers above Dark Magician and Blue Eyes. And I'm putting Charmers there because there's a really cool Charmer deck going around in Diamond right now that I've seen quite a bit of, and it's like kind of like Charmer spellcaster control. And they can also Secret Village and spellcaster you. So if decks need like spell cards or if decks have spell cards as starters, they can pretty much insta win against those. So Charmers. Dark Magician. We've covered it many times before. I'm just gonna go over it. Blue Eyes. We'll breeze over that as well. Then we have Boral Dragons, like Rocket Dragons. Borreload, like the pure Borreload archetype, I feel like is just beat stick but worse. I feel like Blue Eyes can actually get over him. Same with Dark Magician. All the spell cards that you use to start with the Rockets, you can Secret Village spellcasters with Charmers, and most of the Charmers are 1850, being stronger than all the main deck Rocket monsters. You could also probably run a lot of back row, like you can only use spellcasters or you can only use dragons with goes in match, because the dragon rockets can then no longer go into like the machine rockets, but rockets. Next we have, that's not Mech Knight, that's Crusadia, right? Yeah, next we have Crusadia. The FTK, OTK happens, it's decent. It's just, I feel like Rockets are better, Blue Eyes better. Then we have Scythelock. It's okay, but I just feel like there's not enough follow-up to it, and most of the decks above it have outs to it. Or can make negates to where it won't affect them. Next we have, what's it called? Galaxy. Galaxy Eye. So if we're going to put Blue Eyes on this list, we should as well put Galaxy Eyes on this list because it makes 3,000 beat stick that go burr. I do think it's way too high in a Rogue though, so we're going to move it way down. It can be in the Acid Rogue. Next we have the Chaos Phantom Beast. You know what? That's actually going to go in poo-poo tier. Pure Dark Lords would be next after Endymion. And then we would have Mech Knights, followed by lots and lots of trains, followed by Gem Knight, followed by Medolce, then Math Mechs, then Predaplants, then Cosmo, then Spiral, then Ritual Beast can actually be King of Poo-Poo tier. And Pure Scraps are way too high as well. Gonna put that down there. Okay. Next we have Plunder Patrol. In tier 3 off mana, Plunder is too low. We're going to move them up above ABC and Black Wings. Okay. So next we have Pure Chaos. That deck's actually kind of poo-poo. So is Ogotic. And I guess we're moving those down. That means Galaxy Eyes gets to go and be in the pooper tier as well. Yeah. Okay. And then Snow. Yeah. The Snow control deck thing with the Grand Menju and the Banish. Yeah, I can stay in tier 3. So, in Poo Poo, we got Ritual Beast. followed by Spiral. You keep saying Spiral's good. I've seen plenty of them. I've never lost to them, and I haven't even lost to Spiral, and I have a Gravekeepers versus Spiral matchup. Like, Spiral's not good. Sorry, but it's poo-poo, and it deserves to stay in poo-poo until it gets more of its cards back. Next we have Danger. Danger is going to be in the poo-poo tier because I never see this deck like actually win unless I accidentally max C into it and they special summon me to death. But meh. Danger Dark World, meh. Next we have the Cyberstein Ignite FTK. I don't see it anymore. I feel like the bot is just gone or whatever, so because it doesn't have any representation and because it's inconsistent, poo-poo. Zeus Turbo, poo-poo. Pendulums, poo-poo. Inzectors, I love this deck, but unfortunately they are poo-poo right now. They really need their new spell card. Galaxy Eyes, poo-poo. Ogotic, poo-poo. Pure Chaos builds, poo-poo. Megalith, poo-poo. Scrap, poo-poo. Ancient Warriors, Yuki. Rose Dragon decks, Kaka. Witchcrafters, Shite. Red Eyes, Mud, Butt Mud, Fluffles, Poop, Evil Eye, Poop, Six Samurai, Poop, unless you're going for the Brongo Bongo Turbo build exclusively, in which case it's a little better, but if it's just like pure Six Sams, Poo-poo. Infernity, Poo-poo. Ice Barrier, Poo-poo. Ice Jades also really need their new monster, but they don't have the Ross monster yet. What's these? Evil Swarms, Poo-poo. Gusto, Poo-poo. Exodia, Poo-poo. Ghost Trick, Poo-poo. Gene Raider, Poo-poo. Cookies, Poo-poo. Chain Burn Decks, Poo-poo. Gladiator Beast, Poo-poo. Infernoids, Poo-poo. For Hire, Poo-poo. Magic Spectre, Poo-poo. I forget what those are. Oh, Infernoble Knights, yeah, poo-poo. Melfi, poo-poo. Fun deck though, but poo-poo. Nurse Baron, poo-poo. Magical Muskets, poo-poo. Zephyr, poo-poo. Skull Servants, poo-poo. And that is going to cover it for our deck profile. Not deck profile, oh my god. This video has been going on too long. That is what covers our comprehensive July 2020 tier list. If for whatever reason Adventures don't release, or Flounder doesn't release, you can ignore the tier 0 part, but if they do come out, they are going to dominate the fuck out of the meta. Stop part speculative. But other than that, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. If you like it, leave a like. If you want more Yu-Gi-Oh content or more Let's Play content, please subscribe to the channel. And last but not least, this video was brought to you by W Energy. You can use code SirLargeGaming to get 10% off with the link below. I personally like the peach and mango flavor, my second favorite being the one that's on screen, which is like the, wait no, that's the kiwi one, never mind. Not the one on screen, the one, I like the dragon fruit mango one, actually, and the dragon fruit like peach one. But those two are definitely the top ones, and like the mango one, not the mango one, the kiwi one, decent. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.